pick.
W ostatnim odcinku widzieliście, skończyliśmy dodatek drugi, Gorgonę. A teraz lecimy tutaj. Sobie już do końcóweczki.
Perhaps we should all meditate on that as we make our descent.
This might be the loneliest place in the whole system.
Dobra. Sezamie, otwórz się.
Let's look around. There's gotta be a few ways through here.
Mamy tu głównie teraz na broń naukową.
We've got a fight on our hands.
Dobra, pierwszych kilku wyeliminowanych.
Hold your back,
Don't
Captain.
mess with us.
This will be over quickly.
Dobra, teraz tutaj się trzeba przekraść. W zasadzie to pewnie moglibyśmy wszystkich rozwalić.
Right hit, Captain. Some more, Captain.
Back with us.
hakować. Wykaz towarów.
Just that good.
There we go!
All right.
No tutaj. Ogniwo energetyczne to nam się przyda. Może tutaj coś.
I'm working as fast as I can, all right? If y'all would quit bothering me, I'd get this done sooner. Is that a joke? Y'all call me out to fix the FPS and now you're asking me... Whatever. I need to fix this before I get in trouble, so stop bothering me. Forced pacification system. If the prisoners riot, we gas them. It went a little haywire after the last deployment. Anyway, I need to finish this, so get out of here. What? Of course. Well, we don't always get what we want. Go on, let me... Fixin'...
No dobra, ale udało się rozpylić to. Patrzcie, jesteśmy jak Snake teraz.
The last of them.
Imagine being locked up in a place like this. Just the weight of all that stone and steel.
Hita. Jeszcze latają sobie gdzieś tam.
Stellar base counting on us.
Well done. We are victorious.
I see it now.
May you find peace in death.
What was that? I better take a look. What was that?
Za ty! Czego on nie wie? Co? Czego ten gościu nie widzi? Gin, kurde. Szmaciarzu. No dobra, akcja, dobra. Nieźle, nieźle. Fajnie. Jakieś wyzwanie. May Van Noy. Co to w ogóle było? Hey.
We survive this? Drinks at the bay are on me.
Wow, not even a stretch! Here we go!
Głowę, a później padnie. No. Dowódca na
Here they
hita.
come.
Kurde, zabieraj te 4 litery mi ci zabrałem.
I've had quite enough of you.
Got him off!
Ach, tam nie, sorry.
Welcome to the iconoclast, asshole.
Dobra, co to jest? Blokuj dźwiękę. Wow, wow,
Well,
wow.
look who it is.
Proszę, kogo my tu mamy?
I'll be damned. I was prepping the studio for our announcement, and here you are as a bonus. I had heard you'd taken a mechanic under your wing. What's the matter, girl? Couldn't find actual employment?
The captain's treated me right. Better than any of you bored folk ever have. I'm exactly where I want to be.
And the convict, the vicar. You know, most people, once they're out of prison, don't seem keen on returning.
Oh, I would go anywhere to see you fall, sir.
When you go off and get yourself shot, try to avoid taking one to the face. I'll want it recognizable to show to my citizens.
Zejdź mi z drogi,
I'm not in
Rockwell.
your way, you dullard. You talk to me. You want to go die in a blaze of glory? Be my guest. Besides, I don't know what you think you're doing here, but Sophia's doing good work up there with Phineas. Your efforts will be in vain. Oh, the look on your face. Fantastic! No, he isn't quite there yet. A bit more torture will help, I think. But that's between us. As far as my adoring citizens will know, we've turned a dangerous crackpot into a working-class man. Oh yes, go on, wake them up, add more mouths to feed. That'll solve our starvation problems. I don't know what half-baked plans that simpleton in a lab coat has been leading you through, but it's done. It's over. Let me ask you something, Captain. Have you at any point thought about not fucking up our entire society?
I believe we could ask you the same.
I'm making actual progress towards stabilization and recovery. You're just getting in the way. If I and my people can ride it out in luxury and happiness, yes, I would. I don't know if you've noticed, Captain, but Halcyon's pretty much a lost cause. I'll admit, there's no shortage of talent in the scientists and engineers there. Look, I'm not an unreasonable man. If you manage to storm the castle, as it were, and make it out of here with Phineas alive, I can't exactly afford more havoc than you've already caused. Fine. If you survive, you'll need someone to sell the rest of the board on your plan.
Da się tutaj... Dobra. Jeśli uda mi się tam wejść i to wszystko raz... Czy mi się uda? Co to za pytanie w ogóle? Oczywiście, że mi się uda. We're fucking dead already.
All right, MSI. I'm not one for speeches, but the captain needs our help. So get in there and fight. Take him down.
Wait for company ammo.
Okej.
That's odd. Better take a look. So you're doing this, huh?
Everything in my life has been leading up to this point.
Wszystko w moim życiu prowadziło do tego momentu.
I'm ready for this.
Jesteśmy gotowi.
Captain, You have an uncanny talent for complicating my life. You've disrupted the balance of power. You've upset the natural order of things. You've introduced uncertainty, and there is nothing I despise more than... I'm afraid I can't do that. You're a gifted warrior, Captain. You've made your talent for all your talents, you are the enemy. You make a nuanced and compelling argument. Dr. Wells is being held in my custody. His cooperation will prove invaluable. All that's left to do is put down this riot, arrest you, fair enough. This prison, and don't worry.
No, trzeba mieć niezłe wymagania, broń ciężka, broń i coś tam.
Great work.
O proszę. Fajne robociki. No i co? To już po tym robocie? Jeden tylko taki jest, czy więcej? Pamiętajcie, cały czas to jest wysoki poziom trudności, nie? Nie zapominajcie o subskrypcji kanału. Piszcie komentarze. O, proszę. Dekapitacja.
Get me out of here!
Na hita.
You don't know how glad I am to see you. You did the right thing. Akande was a monster. Her death was much deserved, and long overdue. And you lunatic, you broke into the board's own fortress just to rescue one doddering old man. You are absolutely out of your mind, and I can't begin to thank you enough.
Żartujesz? Rada nie miała ze mną szans.
All in a day's work for you, huh? You've broken the board's stranglehold on this colony, and you saved my life. But there's still so much we have yet to accomplish. You and I are going to have to work harder than ever to save Halcyon. I'm afraid the situation is far worse than any of us ever anticipated.
Świetnie, a właśnie miałem otwierać
I would like
browar.
nothing more than to celebrate this victory, but we have a serious problem on our hands. Earth has gone dark. We haven't received a single message in 3 years. There's been no communication, no signals, nothing. 2 years ago, the Earth's Directorate's frigate disappeared on their way back to Earth. We don't know what they discovered when they arrived, or if they arrived at all.
Earth is only an idea to us. But that idea is the bedrock the colony is built upon. If people were to find out it's gone dark, the shock could be too much to bear.
I don't want to imagine what'll happen once news gets out. Let's just keep this between us for now.
You mean we're all alone out here? Really alone?
I'm afraid so, Miss Holcomb. Halcyon is the only home we have left. Returning to Earth is no longer an option. We're in serious trouble, my friend. Do you know what this means for Halcyon? We can't rely on Earth for support anymore. We've been cut loose. We're entirely on our own. Yes, we do. You've done a marvelous thing. You've succeeded where anyone else would have failed. We must begin the revival process immediately, starting with the Hope's brightest minds. And then we're going to fix this damn colony. We're going to need a leader. And I can't imagine a better person for the job. The chairman? I don't know why you let that heartless creature live, but I'll have to trust your judgment. You're the best thing to ever happen to Halcyon. If you want to take it upon yourself to lead this colony, you have my support. We're not a colony any longer, are we? Our last connection to Earth has been severed, and so we have been set free. Our future is uncertain, and no one knows what tomorrow holds. Exciting, isn't it?
The OSI teaches that everything in the universe happens according to the grand plan. But the stranger that arrived in Halcyon was an unplanned variable. From the moment he landed in Emerald Vale, his actions altered the course of history. The events on Tartarus brought about the end of the board's authority. But the board's mistakes would haunt the colony for decades to come. The damage they left behind would require the work of a generation to repair. Dr. Phineas Wells began reviving a handful of the Hope's colonists. Engineers, scientists, technicians, and intellectuals. They were among the brightest minds the Earth had ever sent out into the stars. The Hope scientists and engineers woke up in a colony descending headlong into total collapse. With no way to return to Earth, they had no choice but to band together and devote themselves to the cause of saving Halcyon. The people of Halcyon were nothing if not hardy. In the absence of the board's authority, many of the colony's settlements banded together with a single purpose in mind: survival. Life was especially hard in the years to come. Some towns dissolved by attrition and starvation, but most of them found a way to carry on. In the years to come, Halcyon was forced to reckon with its newfound freedom. The board was gone, and for better or worse, the colony was responsible for its own destiny. Between MSI's worker-centric policies and the iconoclast's manpower, Sanjar and Zora were able to rally many of the Terra 2 townships to their cause.
No właśnie, to był dobry wybór
MSI's
tutaj, że ich
workforce swelled,
połączyliśmy.
and the iconoclasts enjoyed a significant surge in their ranks. The board was too distracted by infighting and internal politics to stop MSI from becoming a powerful corporation and a refuge for townships that might have fallen through the cracks. Sublight Salvage adapted to the changes in Halcyon, shifting their business model to suit the times. Their claims of legitimacy were scrutinized, but ultimately unquestioned. Lilia Hagen would continue to protect her family as ruthlessly as ever. Adelaide McDevitt replaced Reed Thompson as the leader of Edgewater. She and her followers transformed Edgewater in their image. Anyone loyal to Reed was pressured into leaving town, and those who stayed behind adapted to her way of life. Adelaide transformed the old cannery into a new garden. The nearby Edgewater Cemetery provided a convenient source of fertilizer. Under the leadership of Junlei Tennyson, the groundbreaker held firm against corporate influence. The ship's mechanical stability gave Junlei the time to educate a promising generation of engineers, schooled in her family's traditions.
No i dobrze,
The
Junlei
future of
sobie
the
dała
groundbreaker
radę.
looks promising. The rediscovery of the Hope and the abandonment of the lifetime employment program forced Byzantium to come to terms with some uncomfortable realities about the state of Halcyon. While Byzantines were reluctant to surrender the luxuries they'd grown accustomed to, the board's diminished authority gave them little choice in the matter. Nearly everyone had to learn to make do with less. Some
No
even had to
rzeczywiście
get
mroczne
jobs.
czasy, ludzie musieli kurde w końcu
It
pójść
was
do
a
pracy.
dark time indeed.
Różniaki.
Even the Gorgon asteroid, though a distant enigma to most of Halcyon, felt the aftershocks of your actions. Olivia and Minnie Ambrose worked
Olivia i
together
Minnie
to cure the
Ambrose pracowały
marauders
wspólnie
Adrena
nad
Time had
znalezieniem
created.
lekarstwa.
Through their partnership as scientist and administrator, they discovered the harmony that had eluded them as mother
No
and
i
daughter.
fajnie, po latach cierpliwości i wysiłków udało im się uwolnić
They
Arkadię od
discovered the
plagi
means to wean
wywołanej
Halcyon
przez
from the
Adrena
scourge of
czas.
Adrena
Spoko,
Time.
udało im się, dobry
Their
wybór
work
zrobiliśmy.
eventually allowed Wells and his scientists to treat many of Halcyon's marauders. As their addiction waned, the colonists who had lived for so long under the thrall of Adrena Time returned to their communities and loved ones, and joined in the effort to save Halcyon. In spite of everything, the Gorgon asteroid remained a sobering reminder of the potential for progress and disaster in humanity's most ambitious efforts. The Rizzo's company in Halcyon dissolved after the collapse of the board. Needless to say, the launch of Spectrum Brown was indefinitely delayed. A stockpile of
Premiera
Spectrum Brown
brązowej plówki nigdy się
remained
nie odbyła.
buried deep beneath the ruins of the old distillery, abandoned to
Dobrze, bo to
time
była
and
makabra.
attrition. With the dissolution of the board,
No,
Ruth Bellamy found herself without the
Zaraz.
two constants in her life, Byzantine culture and her sister Belinda. In the face of this new reality, she struggled to find a direction for her life. The colony had moved on from Halcyon Helen and would require new heroes in the years to come.
to tak.
And
Tak się
so
rozwiązały jej
Ruth
losy,
Bellamy
no.
decided it was time to exit stage left. She quietly disappeared from public view. The dissolution of the board did not mean the dissolution of the ambitions of Cedric Kincannon, the charismatic leader of Sublight Underground. Cedric offered Slug's transportation services to the newly thawed colonists and set to work ferrying resources and food wherever they were most needed.
A, no i elegancko.
For better or worse, slug headgear became fashionable in the following years. As the board began to disintegrate, Spencer Woolridge found himself at a crossroads. Cling to what little stardom remained to him, or help usher Halcyon into its new future. To the surprise of many, perhaps himself most of all, Spencer chose the latter option. Having learned a variety of different skills in the many different roles played throughout his lengthy career, Spencer founded a radio serial dedicated to staying alive despite the odds. His subjects included how to survive violent encounters with only grazing wounds, dispense pithy one-liners for tense scenarios, and, of
Dawać
course,
następne, już nie chcę.
how to look good doing both. After a brief attempt at dating Helen as one person rather than two, which both Bertie and Helen found too strange, Bertie struck out on his own to try his hand at raising woolly cows. Many of his former Rangers teammates soon followed, accompanied by the woolly cow the team had originally plied with alcohol. The dairy farm thrived under Bertie's leadership and care.
No nie, przywódca
The
drużyny
dairy
został
rangers
jakimś...
privately believed that the woolly
hodowcą
cows
krów
softened Bertie's temper
miasta.
considerably. although the only one brave enough to say this to his face was promptly headbutted. Due to the board's dissolution, many of the Prophet's old customers no longer found quite the same value in productivity seminars that they once had. With her business drying up, the Prophet chose to take her followers down a new path. Months later, salvagers on Eridanos found clues leading them to a seemingly abandoned bunker out in the wilderness. Inside, they discovered horribly mangled corpses, sacrificed to a blood-scrawled portrait of a sprat-headed deity. The Prophet was not among the bodies. Your influence shifted Ellie's perspective. She finally admitted, albeit grudgingly, that she just might need other people. Sometimes. With a steady income from the life insurance payouts, she was finally able to afford a ship of her own. She hired a small crew and flew supply missions to communities on the fringe. Some of them were even legal. Life in Halcyon was sobering for Felix Millstone. The grand revolution he dreamed of never came. There was no great awakening for the colony, no celebrations in the streets. There was only the hard, desperate work of trying to repair a broken colony. Felix never had a head for numbers, but if there was labor to be done, he was there to help. Eventually, Felix realized that the work of a revolution was done with two hands. As much as he enjoyed his adventures aboard the Unreliable, the vicar, known as Max, eventually decided that it was time to move on, to live out the life he had sought so long to create. He knew there were many in the colony who carried burdens much worse than the ones he had struggled with, and he devoted himself to easing their suffering wherever he could. He only ever took up arms again to defend the defenseless. Unshackled from a lifetime of striving and fighting the universe and himself,
Odnalazł
Vicar
wreszcie spokój
Maximilian
ducha.
DeSoto was finally at peace. Once the matter with the Hope colonists was resolved, Junlei bashfully asked Parvati if she'd like to join her permanently on the Groundbreaker, and Parvati enthusiastically, if somewhat awkwardly, agreed. The stories of her adventures spread across the colony, and Parvati soon found herself the center of attention. Having served as the engineer of a renowned spacecraft, tramp freighters and wildcat miners sought her out by name. And in no time, she was a fixture in the Groundbreaker's mechanical ecosystem. She and Junlei were never far apart. Nyoka returned to Monarch to take another crack at making a permanent life for herself. She formed the Charon Group, a mercenary outfit of ragtag survivalists and wilderness experts. Anyone in need of a guide, or just looking to throw back a beer and swap stories, could find her camping on the trail, or clearing an infestation. The SAM unit that accompanied you spread awareness of the product line's superior sanitation and maintenance capabilities across what was left of the colony. This led to a boost in SAM unit sales. Did you know that SAM units are the longest-lasting, toughest-acting cleaning solution in Halcyon? Though Minister Clark was eventually released from house arrest, long years of isolation left him a changed man, little suited for bureaucratic work or for the colony that was changing around him. He remained in his estate largely by choice, fading from public view. As for Dr. Phineas Wells, he spent his remaining years in his orbital lab. He eventually came to terms with his own past and was able to forgive the mistakes of his younger self by devoting his remaining years to serving the colony. In the end, Dr. Wells was able to save every scientist and engineer aboard the Hope. Over the next decade, nearly all of the Hope's remaining colonists were successfully revived. Halcyon saw a period of rapid technological and scientific advancement. Breakthroughs in dietary supplements saved the colony from starvation. Geoengineering projects and social reforms began to change the structure and character of the colony. Dr. Wells laid the groundwork for the project to save the colony, but he would never live to see the fruits of his labor. He passed away a few years later. His work was carried on by the scientists and engineers he revived. Today, Halcyon has stabilized. The people of the colony work hard to adapt to their new circumstances. Nearby colonies send aid and supplies. Life will never be easy in Halcyon, but for the first time in its history, there exists a sense of real, genuine hope about the future. And what about you, the unplanned variable in the history of Halcyon? You brought an end to the riot on Tartarus and partnered with Chairman Rockwell to run the colony together. As Halcyon looked toward the future, you remained a constant presence in the colony's administration. You were never weighed down by bureaucracy, and you never had to dirty your hands with politics. You had people who did that for you. By your influence, Halcyon survived the turbulent years that were to follow. No one knows what's happened to Earth, and no one knows what the future has in store for Halcyon. All we know for certain is this: the name of the Unreliable and that of its intrepid captain will remain the subject of countless stories for years to come.
Brawo! Udało nam się. Elegancko. Dobra, dzięki wszystkim, którzy oglądali tutaj ze mną te wszystkie działania, co tutaj się udało zrobić. Jeśli chcecie coś napisać od siebie, skomentować, to zapraszam do komentowania, subskrybowania dalej. Przed nami kolejne wyzwania. Last of Us, Resident Evil 4. Także bądźcie ze mną, wspierajcie. I to tyle w dzisiejszym odcinku.